Eh, eh, eh. Hi. Used to say I keep a check. She was a bad bad, nevertheless. Calling me Chris now, baby, you're a wreck. Baby, you're a wreck. Keeping a check. She was a bad bad, nevertheless. Baby, are you guys hearing me? Okay. And you're also seeing my screen. Everybody who's here, just check in with me. Let me know if you're hearing me and if you're seeing. Okay. Oh, look, we think moving, guys. We think moving today. Okay, then. Oh, God. Thank you, Jesus. I wasn't in the mood to be dealing with this stress. All right. So let's get into today's session. We're going to jump right into it and get started. Like I said yesterday, we're going to go into hire purchase. So let me just quickly just give you guys a refresh on what hire purchase is. And then we're going to look at some examples. Okay. Y'all ready? Let me know if you're ready. Just tell me ready if you're ready.
Ready?
So that's one person, two, three. Awesome sauce. All right. So essentially, right, when we talk about hire purchase, it's a case where you want to purchase something, but you can't afford to pay the full price, the cash price. So we would have spoken about that yesterday. And so you have an option. The option is that you pay down some money. So you pay down a certain amount of money, whether it's a percentage or they would give you how much money that you have to pay down. We would call that the deposit. So let me just write down some quick shorthand notes so that we can have. So you guys copy down this information. And so we have our topic, hire purchase. And these are the elements of hire purchase. So you want to buy something, you can't buy it full price, cash price. You don't have all the money. So you get to use another system of payment. And again, that payment starts off with you making a deposit or a down payment. And then every month, you pay a certain amount of money until you complete your payments for the item. So you want to buy a fridge, You go in courts, they might say the deposit is 10% of the cash price. So you pay the 10%, and then every month you pay $100 for a certain number of months, which is what we call the installments. And then everything that you pay in total would be called your hire purchase price. So the elements that we have to take note of is our deposit. And another word for deposit is down payment. The second element is the monthly installments. And so these are the two different things you have to pay. If my pen would give me a chance. So the first thing, again, was your deposit or your down payment. And the second thing you need to pay is your monthly installments. Keep it in mind, the monthly installments is the money that you pay every month until you pay off for the item. So everybody confirm that you understand the two concepts. All of this is broken down in the notes, but it's important for you to take note of these shorthand information. And so your hire purchase price, this is the formula for hire purchase, is equal to the deposit plus total installments. So that means if you're paying us $10 for 10 months, you have to multiply 10 by 10 to find the total installments. Where did this random line come from? Are you guys copying down the information? So as I was saying, let me just put it in a box. Your total hire purchase price is the initial deposit you pay plus your total installments. So for example, if I have to pay $10 for 10 months, what will be my total installment? I have to pay $10 10 times. So how will I calculate that? What should I write to calculate that? Anybody? What do I do? Do I add 10 and 10? Do I subtract 10 and 10? Do I multiply 10 and 10, or do I divide? This is very important for you to take note of. So it's going to be $10 10 times because it's 10 months you're playing. So our total installment would equal to $100. So what I would like you to do, now that we understand the concept of the total installments, we're going to break down our formula to simpler terms. So we know deposit. And how do we calculate total installments? The total installments is the monthly installments. So that's how much you pay each month times the number of months. Times the number of months. So if your monthly installment is $100 and you got 4 months, it's going to be 100 times 4. Everybody with me? So let me know when you finish copying down this information, and then we're going to look at an example. Hire purchase, to be honest, is one of the more easier questions. It's pretty straightforward. And all you need to do is think about it like a real life situation. Think about it as if you're going and you are the one purchasing the item. So let me know when you guys finish copying down the notes. All right. So let's take a look at what examples given. You tell me like it is. Pretty little fish. Music in my ears. But I really cannot see. But let's try to see if we could see what we have here. So we have an example here that says a company advertises the cash price of a computer for $4,000. Let me zoom in. If it is bought on hire purchase, so first thing first, you realize they give us the cash price. They would always give you the cash price generally. So they're going to tell you, okay, you want to buy something, this is how much you would pay if you have all of the money. If it is bought on hire purchase, which means that you won't have all of the money, the customers must pay a down payment of 10% of the cash price. So what do you think we need to underline here? What should we underline here? We should underline the information that's important to us, right? Because we know to find a higher purchase price, we need a deposit or the down payment. And they gave us this information. The down payment of 10% and 10% of what? Of the cash price. And we know the cash price because they tell us the cash price was $4,800. Before I continue, everybody with me? Is everybody following how I'm pulling out the information from the question? Okay, let me just erase the side here so that I can use the side to write out the information, because this is another important aspect of worded problems. Always take out the information that you need and write it so that it is clearly identifiable on your work paper. So let's just move this across. And then let's erase the side that we have here. So in the meantime, let's continue reading. So we done see two things. We know the cash price, 4,800. We know the down payment is 10% of that. And then what other piece of information is important here for us? They tell us we got 12 monthly installments. That means how much months you're paying for? You're paying for 12 months of $364 each. So that means you are paying $364 12 times. So based on this question, before we even look at what they did here, do you think you would be able to use this information and calculate this on your own based on the formula that we just did? Everybody tell me yes or no. Tell me the truth. If I were to ask you, let's say this was not here, the solution was not here, would you have been able to take the equation that I gave you, the formula, and work it out on your own? Because that's important, eh? So let's take a look. So we're going to write out the information. So the deposit or the down payment, I'm just going to write deposit because it's shorter than down payment. The deposit is 10% of the cash price. So what is that? What should I write? 10% of what? 364, 12, or 4,800? Which one is it 10% of? Okay, Ashley says $4,800. That is correct. Everybody agree? Why did we choose this money? Because remember, look at what it tells us. It tells us that the down payment is 10% of the cash price. And what is the cash price? The cash price is 4,800. Everybody with me? Confirm, please. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. So what else do we need? We need now total installments. How do we find the total installments now? What should I write for the total installments? Or what should I calculate for the total installments? Which two figures we need now? We need to know how much each installment is, and each installment is how much, guys? Somebody, I just need one or two persons to tell me. How much money do we pay every month? Keep it in mind, that's what installment means. Very good. Anybody else? What is the installment from this question? Okay, $364. And how much times are we paying $364? We're paying it for 12 months. So it's going to be times 12. So before we continue, we want to calculate, it's a calculate the higher purchase price. So step one is you write your formula. Higher purchase is equal to the deposit plus the total installments. So what am I gonna have? I know my deposit is 10%, so we need to calculate the deposit. So let's calculate the deposit. So the deposit will be 10%, look it up here, 10% of 4,800. So how do we find that? Remember, it's always 10 over 100 times 4,800 over 1. What would be the smartest thing to do here? The smartest thing here to do is cancel the zeros, right? So that's one cancel. You realize it's the same thing we're doing with the percentages. We cancel the zeros. Everybody see that? And so what am I going to multiply now? I'm going to multiply 10 times 480. And if you remember, whenever you multiply any whole number by 10, all you got to do is add a zero. So a final answer for the deposit is 480. Are we done? No, because we only now have the deposit. What else do we need? We need the total installments. And look at here. Total installments is, I don't know what's going on. My pen keep disappearing. Every time you leave me. So as I was saying, the total installments would be the amount one installment is, which is 364, and the number of months you have to pay that installment, which is 12 months. And when we multiply these two things, we're going to get 4,368. And so based on our formula, what is the formula? The formula tells us that we have to add those two things. So now that we have the deposit, now we have the installments, all we need to do is add those two things. So let me just move this up. We're just giving it a quick minute just for it to move. But are you guys copying down this question? And to be honest, higher purchase does come like this all the time. You have to find the deposit, you have to find the total installment, and then you add. Okay. So this is something pretty easy and pretty straightforward. And based on the questions I sent you guys in the test number 2, a lot of higher purchase questions came on that activity paper. So you would be able to get a lot of practice. A lot of people. Some people messaging me. Somebody asked if class still going on. All right, so let's go. Did something just happen here? What happened here? All right, so what I was trying to finish off by saying is that the higher purchase price is when you add the deposit, which was, oh no, I'm moving too much. How much was the deposit again, guys? So it's the deposit, how much ever that was again, plus the 4,368. Who had the deposit written down already? Thank you. So the deposit is $480. And so when you add that, that is what we would have as our higher purchase price. Oh, Gwen says she's not getting into the class. Let me just send her the link again. Not sure why she's having difficulty getting in. But everybody, how y'all feel about higher purchase? Thank you, Janello. How y'all feel about higher purchase? It's pretty easy, to be honest. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Okay. So I'm just going to recap quickly for those who just came in. So higher purchase, again, is when you can't pay cash price for something. So they give you an option of paying down some money on it. And then every month, you have to pay something. So I was asking the class before, let's say I have to pay $10 for 5 months. How much would I have to pay over time? What is my total installments? What would you do to figure out that? You would multiply, right? Because if 1 month is $10, 5 months would be 5 times 10, which is 50. Okay, so based on what we have here, we have the formula for higher purchase. And the formula for higher purchase is the total money you're paying all. So that means you have to add the money that you had to pay upfront, which is your deposit or your down payment, plus the money you had to pay every month. That's it. So to calculate the deposit, they tell us that the deposit was 10% of the cash price. We already know how to find 10% of anything. You put 10 over 100 times the amount over 1. So this is how we calculated the deposit. Then the total installments, remember the installment mean the money that you pay every month until you pay off for whatever you're buying. So to find the total installments, you multiply the money that you have to pay every month. And in this case, you had to pay $364 for 12 months. So that means you had to pay in total $468. So your higher purchase price is your total payment. That means the payment you had to make up front, which was your deposit or your down payment, and your total installments. Myrtle and Jeffrey, do you guys follow based on how I just broke it down just now? Did you pick up on anything? You with me? You understand a little better and follow what we just did? So that's all you have to keep in mind. Your down payment, and another word for down payment is deposit, and the total installments. And total installments just mean how much money you pay for all the months you had to pay. And that's it. Okay? All right. So now we're going to touch on ratios. Now, we actually started doing ratios before when we first started. That was the first thing I taught, but it wasn't under the concept of ratio. So ratio comes in many different forms. Ratio is used to share certain quantities. Ratio is used to represent how quantities are shared. Ratios are used to compare quantities. So let me show you some examples. Miss V has 5 apples. And she shared the apples to Jeffrey and Ashley in a ratio of 2 to 3. Who get 2 apples? So you realize the ratio is 2 to 3. Who got 2 apples? Everybody make a guess. Did Ashley get the 2 apples or Jeffrey got the 2 apples? Jeffrey got the 2 apples. You know why? Ratio information is given in the same order. So if you have a ratio, that means I shared my 5 apples into 2 shares. The first share is 2. The second share is 2. The first person always get the first share. The second person get the second share. Everybody see that? So that means Jeffrey got 2 apples. And that means Ashley got 3 apples. This is the most basic concept. Everybody with me? It's all about sharing. Another way ratio is used is in a fraction. So let me show you something now. It is called, please write this down because most people don't even bother teach this, but I want to at least touch on it. This is called equivalent ratio. It's going to come up in the next chapter, but I just want to teach it quickly. Everybody remember what equivalent fractions is? So let's look at an example of equivalent fraction. So this is a side note. So this is equivalent fraction. If I have 2 out of 3 is equal to 4 over something, what is the number that is equal that would make this balance? What is the missing number? Okay, Myrtle gave it a try. What about everybody else? Let's go. What is the missing number to the denominator? Excellent. How did y'all guess 6? What did y'all do? Because here's this thing. You could look at a question like this and figure it out because these numbers are small. But suppose I gave you bigger numbers where you cannot guess or can't figure it out. Do you understand the process? How do we move from 2 to 4? Exactly, we multiply by 2. Excellent. And as you know in maths, whatever you do on one side, or if in this case, whatever you do to the top, you have to do where? To the bottom. I always want y'all to remember that maths is about balance. And so to keep it balanced, because it is equal, it would be 3 times 2 is 6. Everybody with me? No, we can represent fractions as ratio. So just like how we know that we could use it to represent sharing, you can represent fractions by a ratio. So for example, 2 out of 3 can be represented as 2 out of 3, which is equal to, if my pen would give me would ease me up and walk. So just give me a little minute there. Let me see if we can come back. But right now we're looking at a second case where ratio can be represented as fractions. So anybody want to guess what 4 over 6 would be written as a ratio? It would be written as 4 out of 6. Everybody see that? Now there are questions that come on paper too. Even the test that I sent y'all, they have questions like this. Let me ask you a question now. Suppose I gave you 4 out of 5 is equal to 12 out of something. What's the missing number? What's the missing number? One person send me an answer. Anybody else want to try? Excellent job, guys. The answer is 15, because what you should realize here, ratio in this example, this represents equivalent ratio. So you're really asking yourself, how do I move from 4 to 12? That would be what? Times 3. The first number is related to the first number on the right-hand side. And so 5, what would I do to find the missing number for 5? I do the same thing that I did to the 4. I multiply by 3. So 5 times 3 would give me 15. Everybody see that? Okay, one more, no problem. I'm gonna mash up our head now. Check this one out. But let me see. 5 to 20 is equal to 1 to something. Let me see who's thinking. What is the missing answer? Try again. Let's go, guys. Is this the same example from before? It is not. And this is, I ain't killing you. No, I ain't killing you. I'm putting you to think. Let's go. Let's go. If you realize, right, before when we were increasing from 4 to 12, we multiply by 3. What you should look at in this example, are we increasing or are we decreasing? How do I move from 5 to 1 in any case? How can I change a number from 5 to 1? It's decreasing. So instead of multiplying, what's the opposite of multiplying? Exactly, divide. Should we ever be we should not even be talking about addition and subtraction here, because no subtraction or addition is in this case. The only two things you should be thinking about is the opposites of each other, multiplication and division. Everybody see me? So let's go. And I'm going to show you in using the fraction form to make it easier. 5 out of 20 is equal to 1 over something. How do I get from 5 to 1? Somebody, let's go. How do I move from 5 to 1? How do you change any number to 1? You divide it by itself. 6 divided by 1, 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 12 is 1. 120 divided by 120 is 1. So 5 divided by 5 is what would give me 1. Everybody see that? Whatever you do to the top, you have to do where? To the bottom. So 20 divided by 5, I don't even know why I write 10 there. What's the answer? What's the answer? The answer is 4. Everybody see that? Let's try a next one. Let's try a next one. And this is where thinking comes in, guys. I'm trying to get y'all to learn how to think. Because when you learn how to think, when you see things like that, you will be able to figure it out. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So don't ever get frustrated when I give you a thinking question. The point is to expand your mind. And I need all to try harder and not give up when you see something that you never see before. Okay, so let's try our next one. 3 out of 9 is equal to, let me see. Let me see. 9 out of something. Let me see who gonna get mashed up by this. Let's go. Are you guys copying down these examples? Please to copy down these examples. I got 2 correct answers so far. Excellent, ladies. What about everybody else? Take a try. Expand your mind. And this all comes down to tables, multiplication tables. So if you realize this is a challenge for you, you know you need to go back to the basics and bump up your table skills. Everybody who sent an answer, you are correct. Check it again, Jeffrey. How do I move from 3 to 9? So I'm going to rewrite exactly. Exactly. That's it. That's it. So your answer is 27. Everybody got it? Everybody understand how we find missing proportions and ratios? So let's look at our notes. Not yet. Not yet. Let me see. Let me see. So let's rewrite this to make it a lot more simpler. Let me just erase these here below. We learned this. We learned equivalent fractions when we were doing number theory. So those people who were with me from the beginning, you would have remembered that we did equivalent fractions. So I could write 3 out of 9 as 3 out of 9 is equal to 9 out of something. Remember, we need to identify what do we do to 3 to get to 9. We multiply by 3. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. So 9 times 3 is what? 27. Let's try one more for the road. One more. 21 to 49 is equal to 3 to something. I bet this mash up. I bet this mash up. What's the answer? That's one person sending me an answer. I'm not going to say if it's right or wrong yet. That's 2 persons. What about everybody else? Let's go. Excellent job, everybody. 21 out of 49 is equal to 3 over something. And obviously we are decreasing. And so our process is going to be division. And you have to look what 21 divided by will give me 3. 21 divided by 7, whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. And you should know 49 divided by 7 is 7 because 49 is a square number. Y'all remember square numbers, right? Excellent job. So let's look over to the notes quickly so that we can move on. So the definition notation, a ratio is a quantitative relationship between two quantities expressed in the same unit. So for example, this tree, if this tree represents 3 meters, this 9 has to represent meters as well. If this tree represents oranges, the 9 has to represent oranges. It could never be, ooh, this is a perfect opportunity to teach y'all something quickly as well. It could never be 3 is in centimeters and 9 is in kilometers. Everybody understand that? Both of them have to be what? In the same units. Okay? So moving along, it shows the number of times one quantity contains or is contained in the other. So these are the ways ratios could happen. A ratio is a multiplication comparison. And as we see here, a multiplication comparison. And keep in mind, if you could multiply it, it means that you can also divide it. Everybody with me? Because if forward is multiplication, backwards is what? Division. Sorry about that. If forward is multiplication, backwards is division. Everybody understand that concept in maths? The inverse of each other, all that means is the inverse of each other. And we learned all about that already. So these are certain things that we are revising. All right, so it says here, the order is important in the ratio, and we saw why. If somebody gives you some information in a specific order, and then they give you the ratio, you should know the first person corresponds to the first number in the ratio. The second person corresponds to the second number in the ratio, okay? That's something you also have to keep in mind. And ratios are expressed in its lowest form. How do we break down a ratio in its lowest form? So let's take a quick look. What would let's get easy one, 10, 15 be in its lowest form? What is this reduced to its lowest ratio? If you don't know how to do it directly, what's the first thing you should do based on what I teach you? Write it as a fraction. How do I break down 10 over 15 to a fraction in its lowest term? You divide by what? You find a number that both terms can be broken down into, and that number would be 5. So you would say 10 divided by 5, 15 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2, 15 divided by 5 is 3. So that means that the simplest form of this ratio would be 2 to 3. Everybody with me? If you need to use the fraction form to get it done, that's okay. Some people would be able to do it directly. It's up to you and what you're most comfortable with. So keep note that this is something that is very important. Number 5, we only use integer values in expression ratios. So that means we don't ever have a fraction. You would never see a half to 5 over 6. Never. You would always only get what? Whole numbers, whether they're positive or negative. Everybody with me? All right, so let's look at some situations and some questions that show us how to share quantities in ratio. They would never do that. CXC would never do that. But let me just show you guys how to do it in case. You know, it can't hurt to know. It can't hurt to know. Agreed or disagree? Let's say you have the same 2 fractions. So let me just show you just in case. So let's say you have these same 2 fractions. A half divided by what was it? 3 over 6? It was 3 over 6. 3 over 6? Doesn't matter. 5 over 6? Let's say 5 over 6. How do I get rid of the denominators? Remember, to get rid of the denominators, you have to do what? Multiply by something in the numerator to cancel the 6. Luckily for us here, 2 and 6 have a common LCM. What is the LCM of 2 and 6? Exactly. It is 6. Guys, LCM, multiple. So the LCM, remember the LCM is different from the factors. The factors of 2 and 6 are different from the multiples. So let's look at how we find the LCM. What are the multiples of 2? 2, 4, 6, 8. What are the multiples of 6? 6, 12, 18. So what is the lowest common multiple based on the 2 lists? Exactly. So you would realize that 6 would be it, because guess what? 2 can go into 6 and 6 can go into 6. Everybody with me and how to find the LCM? If you're not strong in that, list them out and circle and choose it, okay? So we're going to multiply both by the LCM, and the LCM is 6. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by 6, and I'm going to multiply this fraction by 6. What's going to happen on this side when I multiply by 6? Anybody could tell me what's going to happen to the 6? If I do the opposite of dividing by 6 and multiply by 6, what's going to happen? It's going to cancel. So this and this going to cancel. Everybody with me? Good. So we're going to end up with what? What are we going to be ending up with? We're going to end up with what? 5. And I'm going to come to the side so I could show y'all what this means. If I have 5 over 6 times 6 over 1. Everybody see that? Look at how we get 5. 6 into itself goes once. 6 into itself goes once. And you're going to end up with 5 over 1, which is 5. Everybody see that? What is going to happen on your left-hand side? So let's come on this side and work it out. As you get stronger, you won't have to do it. But I just want to make sure you understand why. Why is important. So we're multiplying a half by 6. What do we write? We're going to write, anybody could tell me what answer they get while this thing on stick? My goodness. 1 over 2 times 6 over 1. What is going to be my answer when I cancel? Anybody could tell me. Well, what is 6 over 2? That is correct. You are going to get 6 over 2. But based on what we learn about canceling, I can cancel 2 and 6. So I could break it down even before I multiply. 2 into itself goes once. 2 into 6 goes 3 times. So what would you end up with? 3. Everybody see that? So essentially, a half to 5 over 6 is the same thing as 3 to 5. Everybody see how I just turned that into whole numbers? All I did was multiply it by what? The LCM. Let's try one on your own and tell me if you could work it out by yourself. So I'm going to give you 2 ratios in fraction form, and I want you to tell me what's the answer. And this is us spending some extra time just covering the basics. So suppose I gave you another easy one, 1 over 2, 2, 3 over 4. I just want the answer. What is the answer of the 2 ratios using whole numbers? Work on it and tell me if you get it. And I just want to take this opportunity to let you guys know, maths is not a watching subject. For you to truly learn, because while you're in class, you're going to understand by reading, just watching. But if you are unable to do it on your own, you have not learned. So that is why it is important for you guys to try questions on your own. Okay? So let's go. I'm going to rewrite it to the top here. So I have one answer so far. I have one answer so far. Anybody else? I'm going to start working it out to see if anybody gets what we have. So we starting off with, let me use black. We starting off with 1/2 is the same thing as 3/4. So step one, what is the LCM of 2 and 4? The LCM is 4. Excellent. And so we're going to multiply both sides by 4. When you multiply both sides by 4, remember you could do it to the side. So the LCM is equal to 4. So when I multiply both sides by 4, I'm going to come to the side and do that. So behind here, what is going to happen? I'm going to end up with, you cancel it. When I cancel it, you're going to realize this is 1, this is 2. So you end up with 2. This and this going to cancel, give you 1. So this is going to give us 3. So all those who got 2 out of 3, excellent job. So we just learned something that we might need in the future, just in case it comes. It doesn't usually come, but at least you're prepared, okay? So now we're going to look at some examples of sharing a ratio into quantities. And this is where a lot of questions like this just come. Miss V got $100 and she got to share it in a ratio of 2 to 3. How much the first person getting? How much money the second person getting? So let's take a look at some questions and see. So let me zoom in. Can y'all see, or you want me to zoom in some more? All right, so let me just move it up. This is very important. So far, guys, everything that we did, were you able to follow? So equivalent ratios, equivalent fractions, finding the missing figure. When it's supposed to go down A1, go down. Well. So let's look at this question here. Share $54 in the ratio of 4 to 5. Okay, so how do we work this out? I want to first use a simple example on the side before we look at the difficult example here. So Ms. V has the same, what is I had apples in the bags? It's apples we were talking about. So Ms. V have some bags of apples and each bag got in 2. Each bag's got in 2. I'm trying to draw one more. Okay. So each bag represents 1 share. Everybody with me? So we're going to the concept of sharing quantities. So let's say Myrtle, Janella. How many shares did I give out in total, everybody? How many shares were given out? How much things get shared out? How much bags get shared out? May I ask you how much apples you know? You see the question? How many shares were given out? If you were to represent this ratio, Janella to Myrtle, what would be the ratio? Because a lot of people has failed this question. What is the ratio of the bag shared? Janella to Myrtle. All I fail. Listen, Janella to Myrtle means Myrtle to Janella. Everybody see what I'm trying to get you to pay attention to? Because this does happen. See, this question is a popular question. CXC always do that. They're going to give you this information like this, but they're going to ask you for the ratio of Janella to Myrtle. And so the ratio is 3 to 2. Everybody see that? Now listen to this question now. How many apples does Myrtle get? Based on what you see here, 1 share is how much apples? 1 share is how much apples? 1 share equal how much apples? 2. 2 apples. So if you get 1 bag, you get 2 apples. So in this case, how many apples does Myrtle get? How you get 4? Where you get the 4 from? If you didn't see these pictures, what would you have done? You would have said, since she got 2 shares, it's going to be 2 shares times what? Times 2 apples, because 1 share is 2 apples. Everybody see that? So that's why we know that Myrtle will get 4 apples in all. Everybody confirm that you understand this concept. Once you know how much 1 share is, you could calculate how much all the shares is. So Janella, what would you write for her working? What would you write for Janella's working? Would you write 2 times 2? What would you write for Janella? Because how much shares Janella got? 3 shares. So it's going to be 3 shares. And guys, you didn't get marks for this, you know. This is why I'm writing it out like this, because you have to show CXC, you know where you get the 4 from, where you get the 6 from. You get more marks for your working than the wrong and than the correct answer. So one of the things I want you to always practice when you give me an answer and I ask a question, make sure you identify and outline how you get it. So in this case, it was 3 shares times 2 apples. So in all, that's how we know that Janella got 6 apples in all, because she got 3 bags of 2, whereas Myrtle got 2 bags of 2. So that's how we get 6 apples. Everybody understand this concept? Everybody confirm with me if you understand the concept. What is the key thing here? The key thing is always knowing how much 1 share is. How much in 1 bag? How much in 1 share? If you know that, you could find out anything. Remember when we were doing the proportions earlier, we always figured out how much was 1. Once you know how much is 1, you could find 100, you could find 5, you could find 6, you could find 8. The key, the most important part is finding out how much 1 share is. So given this information, we're going to be able to maneuver through a large amount of different ratio questions, because that is what is make ratio hard. Ratio that's come bend up. 1 minute it's going to come direct, 1 minute it's going to come indirect, and next minute it's going to come left, and next minute it's going to come right. Once you understand, the key to all of the questions is knowing how much 1 share is, we're good to go. So that's why I make sure we broke this down. So let's look at the example. So I'm going to erase the side and we're going to look at the same example and take it from there. But before we continue, I hope everybody understands. Feel free to let me know if anything is unclear. Okay, it's really important for you to tell me if it's unclear or confusing so that I can always use a different example. Okay, so let's take a look at this question. This is, for one, a CXC popular question that comes a lot. So this is the easiest one that could come. If you see this does come in paper 1. If a question like this come in paper 2, just know that something like, read it again, because it's highly unlikely they would try an easy question like this. Share $54 in the ratio of 4 to 5. Remember when we were looking at sentences that gave us information, how did we go about finding 1? In this example, what did they give us? What is 54? 54 is the total money shared. So total money shared is equal to $54. Everybody see that? Everybody let me know if you understand that's what's going on here. Okay. Now that we know they gave us the total money, what do you think we need to find for the shares? We need to find the total shares. What is the total shares? I'm not telling all of this. So if we're going to get stick here tonight, we're going to get stick here tonight. What, based on the information given, would tell us how much the total share is? How you would calculate how much shares in all? Which piece of information that tell us about the shares? Somebody. Where do we determine the shares? Don't look at the answer here, no big man thing. Even though the answer is here. Why did we use the ratio is what is give you the information. The ratio gonna tell you two things. How much the first person get, how much the second person get. And it's going to give you the total share. So the total share is 9. Anybody remember how we used to find one of something? Since we got the total shares, we know the total share is going to equal to the total money. Agree or disagree? So we know, you see here, then tell us how they get this. I am going to show you how to get this. You always say you equal them together. Total shares, if my pen will give me a break. Total shares, what would we put total share equal to? Total money. Would that make sense? When we add the two shares, if we share up some money into two groups, when we add them up, we shouldn't get back the same money, the total money. Everybody agree with me or disagree with me? Because this concept is important for you to understand. Here, we are matching up two equivalent quantities. We're matching up the totals, shares, and the total money. Everybody with me? So what should I have? That means total share, which is 9. 9 shares is equal to $54. Does it make sense? Because that's how much we're splitting up. We're splitting up the $54 into 9 separate shares, where the first person get 4 of them and the second person getting 5 of them. How do I find, before I continue, what is the most important key step here based on what I tell you before? We must calculate what? How much is what? 1 share. Anybody remember how we do that? How do we find one of anything? If I got 9 shares, what should I do to get 1 share? Excellent job. Divide by 9. Whatever you do on one side, what must you do on the other side? The same thing. So 9 divided by 9 gonna give me what? 1. So you get 1 share is equal to what? 54 divided by 9 is how much? $6. Everybody see that? Please confirm if you realize how we find 1 share. Because again, this is the same thing I taught y'all at the beginning of consumer. The first class, we spent almost 45 minutes on practicing how to find one of something, regardless if it's a share. Remember I told you that? Whether it's a share, whether if it's money, whether it's percentage, it is the same rule. Transfer of learning, the same concept. So now that we know how much 1 share is, the first person, how much shares the first person get? Let's go talk to me. The first person get how much? If you got a ratio of 4 to 5, the first person gained 4 shares, right? So that means he gained 4 times what? He gained 4 times 6 because he gained $6. So that's why it's going to be 4 times $6. You see why we need 1 share? Once you know how much 1 is, you could calculate 4 and you could calculate 5. Everybody with me? And so we know 4 times 6 is $24. The second person, how much shares they got? 5 shares. And so we know we're going to do what? 5 times $6 is 30. What must happen if I add up them two amount of dollars? What must it add back up to? You must get back $54. And in anytime you got a question like this, guys, back check it, please. Make sure, because 5 times 6 is 30. Always make sure on the side, if you add them up, you get back the total amount of money. Everybody understand me?
Miss V, I will be looking on for now because I have the baby with me for a little bit.
No problem. Gotcha. Kiss the baby for me, please. All right, everybody talk to me. Do you understand? Do you follow? Do you understand? Do you follow? Because guess what? I am going to give you another question that is left-hand side now. So this is a direct ratio question. And before we continue, I want to give you a left-hand side question. Okay? Y'all ready? Let me know if you're ready so that I could erase the board. Let me know if you're ready. All right. So we're cooking on gas. We're cooking on gas. And another reason I'm kind of taking my time with this specific one, because ratio does mash up students a lot. I don't know why. It's the weirdest thing. Once you remember the concept, which is one, find how much one share is, you're good to go. So let's look at an indirect question. Ms. V sharing $100 in a ratio of 2 to 3. Okay. The smaller quantity I make a mistake. I wasn't supposed to give you the total, so I'm gonna change it. Hold on there. Let me just back check this question so that I could make sure I understand what I'm trying to do. Let me see. Okay, I got you. So Miss V is sharing money. So some money in a ratio of 2 to 3. The smaller quantity is $50. What is the total money shared? So question number 1, let me read it again. Ms. V is sharing money in a ratio of 2 to 3. The smaller quantity is $50. Let me just fix this so it don't look like 150. The smaller quantity is $50. What is the total money shared? So let's go. Is this the same question? Guys, let's go. Talk to me. Let's go. We got things to do. Let's go. Is this the same question? Would you answer this question the same way? Everybody else, let's go. You have to think for yourself. You got to ask yourself, when I read this question, is it the exact same thing like what we did before? What is similar? What is different? Look at what we got before. Before, we got the total money and we were able to find the total shares. In this example, did they give us the total money? Oh, what 2 pieces of information they gave us? What information they give us? What money did they give us? They gave us the ratio and the quantity. What quantity they give you specifically? Which piece of quantity they give you? Read it. The smaller quantity of the ratio is $50, right or wrong? So as we know, step 1 is find one share. But in the previous example, how did we find one share? We divided the total money by the total shares. Remember, we had to make sure the 2 things balance. But in this example, we did not get the total money and the total shares. But they give us something else that match up. What 2 things here match up? The smaller quantity, which is $50. We don't got a smaller ratio. What is the smaller ratio? What is the smaller share? Exactly. So you realize here, you have to use the information that they give you and switch up your approach a little bit. So before, to find one ratio, we had to divide the total money by the total shares, but we ain't gotta know. But what we do have is the smaller money and the smaller shares. So guess what I should write down here? I should write down 2 shares is equal to what? Somebody, let me go. What is 2 exactly $50. Everybody see that? Everybody confirm if you see what I'm trying to show you. This is maths. This is thinking. This is using what you have to find what you need. If you can't figure these things out, that's where you're going to lose. So that's why I want you guys to make sure you understand how we realize, oh, this is what we need to do. So how do I find one share? We got to do what? Divide by 2, right? So divide by 2, divide by 2. So what we're going to end up with, 1 share is equal to how much? $25. So now I have a question for you. Now that we know how much 1 share is, how do we calculate the total money? Anybody have an idea how we find the total money? Because we now know how much 1 share is. How much is the total shares in all? So what do I do with that information? If I know the total share is 5 and I know that 1 share is 25, how do I find the total money? Excellent. So the total money is going to be, how do I find the total shares? I multiply by 5. How do I get, where I get a 5 from? Look it in the ratio information. You add 2 plus 3, that's going to give you 5 shares in total. So here we know that in order for me to find all of the money, I need to calculate 5 shares. And I know how much 1 share is. So the total money is 25 times 5. And how much is that, my awesome people? 125. So what do you realize here? Hold on, you guys, hold on. Sorry about that, guys. So let's go. Let's check in and compare both questions. When we do so, talk to me. Y'all hearing me? Hello? Okay, so before we continue, I need to know if everybody see how we adjusted the same steps, you know, but we adjusted it based on the information that was given because that's where it's important. Okay? Reading, I tell you now, I know the hardest part when you're nervous and you see the question, some people they just go and start calculating. You never do that. Read the question, underline the information that they give you, and then think about the information. Did they give me the 2 totals? Did they give me the smaller share and ask me to find the totals? Because that is what's going to help you figure it out and work your way towards the answer. Okay, so please copy down this question because this question has come a lot. They're going to give you some shares and they're going to ask you to calculate the total, or they're going to give you the total and ask you to find the individual shares. All right, so out of 10, I need you guys to give me an idea of how you feel or how much you understand for this specific type of question for both of them, the individual shares and ratio and the total ratio. And I'm telling y'all now, in that practice test paper that I sent y'all, a lot of ratio in there, a lot. It's meant for you to practice, okay? All right. Based on the numbers I'm seeing, we looking good, we looking good, we looking good. Keep in mind that the exam, the test paper is not for you to be overwhelmed by, it's for you to start to realize, okay, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? That's honestly one of the major purposes of it, because the sooner you expose yourself to questions and practicing papers, as you continue to practice, the easier it's going to become, versus people who just wait 2-3 weeks before exam to start looking at past papers, and then they get overwhelmed. Okay, so all of this is a part of our exam preparation strategy. So I'm just going to encourage you guys now to please take an attempt of it. Actually, I sent y'all a test paper on number theory and fractions. Only one person did it, and that was Myrtle. So it means then that I'm going to resend test 1 and encourage you guys to do both of them over the vacation. Okay. All right. So let's go into this part now. Finding the missing part of a ratio. So again, this is another version of ratio that comes. So you have to be able to read and understand what it's asking you to find. And just by quickly scanning, what do you realize they're always finding? Anybody picking up the trend? Look at both solutions. What you realize they always got to find first. What do they always have to find first? You realize they always got to find one part or one share. Everybody seen what I was trying to tell y'all before? You always got to use the ratio to find one. When you find one, then you could find 3, then you could find 5. Everybody picking up what I'm saying? Everybody realize what I'm trying to show you? Look at it. 2 lengths are in the ratio of 3 to 7. If the longer piece is 35, that means which 2 things you're going to equal to? You're going to equal the 7, because it's the larger ratio, to the longer piece, which is 35. And so look at it here. 7 parts is equal to 35. And they find 1. How did they find 1 though? We know that they had to do what? Divide by 7 on both sides. Look at here. So 1 part is 35 divided by 7. So 1 part is 5 centimeters. What the question asks to find: what is the length of the shorter piece? The shorter piece is 3 times 1. So you know that's why they multiply by 3 by 5. Everybody see what I'm saying here? Based on the examples we did before, doesn't this seem a lot easier now that we understand why they're doing what they're doing? Confirm with me. Let's go. We got things to do. So here, they're not sharing money. You realize here now they're sharing a length of a rope and they're using centimeters. Okay, let's look at the next example. Here now we're sharing CDs. The ratio of the number of Randy CDs to the number of Jackie CDs is 5 to 1. That means that Jackie has 5 times more CDs than Randy. Or Randy. Who got more CDs? Video. Randy has 12 more. Oh God, this one is a hard one. But it's the same concept, to be honest. It's the same concept. It's the same concept. You still gotta find how much is one share, and then you'll be able to calculate. So let's go. It says Randy has 12 more. It's a little different because now we realize, did they give us any information on how much each have? In this example, did they ever tell us how much any one of them have? The only thing they tell us is that one of them got 12 more CDs than the other. So that's the first thing you got to realize. So the ratio of the number of CDs, Randy CDs, to the number of Jackie CDs, 5 to 1. So who is the first person? So Randy is the first person and Jackie is the second person. So very good observation. So the ratio is R to J. How many CDs does Randy have? Everybody with me? Here, let me just check. Everybody with me so far with the information? Okay. Now, what is interesting about this thing is that they ain't giving us how much money one person has now. They ain't giving us the smallest share, the biggest share. No, they're comparing the shares. If you realize what's going on, everybody realize what's going on? So here, look at what they're telling us. they're saying that Randy has 12 more. So let me write it to the side. 12 more cities, right? But what do we compare that to? We got to compare how much more shares does Randy have. You see why they get 4 shares? Because here they're comparing now not the actual number of cities, but how much more one have than the other. Talk to me if you're seeing it. Tell me if you're catching it, if you catch what's going on. We're looking at the things that they're comparing. Before, we were comparing totals and totals. The second example, we compared the 2 smaller quantities. So the smaller share and the smaller money. In the example before, we compared the longer piece of string and the bigger piece of the ratio. Now, they ain't give us none of that. What they tell us is that one person got a certain amount more. So you need to know that when you look at the ratio, you have to look for the number that Randy has more than Jackie. And how much is that? The answer is 4. He got 4 shares more. So he got 12 CDs more and he got 4 shares more. Remember, it has to be equal. The 2 quantities have to be matching. So can everybody confirm if they understand this concept here, please? And that's how you find the one. For you to find one share, you have to make sure the 2 things that you're comparing are equal. So let's go back from the beginning. In the beginning, what did we compare? Total shares and what? Total money. So let's do a quick checkpoint. Everybody confirm if you understand step by step. Did you understand to find one share? We had totals by totals. We compared total by total. That's 3 people confirming. What about everybody else? We're going through it step by step. Let's go. So let me erase all of this. Because at the end of the day, this is the type of this is the hardest question that could come, to be honest with you. So it's important for you to be able to follow from the easiest to the hardest. So let's go. The easiest one was when they tell us total shares equal to total money. And everybody so fast that they understand this one. Then what did we compare? Smaller share equal to what? The smaller money. Everybody understand when we did that one too? Good. Then we looked at an example up here. Which one did they look at? The longer and the larger. So what did we end up have to compare? The larger share by the larger length. My pen kind of frozen again. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to uninstall the new version and re-download the older version because this one is really trash. And I'm fed up with it. It's horrible. So just give me 1 minute. Let me see if my pen can start working again. But I hope your mind ticking. I hope your mind following the trend. Because remember, a big part of maths too is patterns. I hope you guys picking up the patterns. So total share by total money. Smaller share by smaller money. Larger share by larger length. Now here, they ain't looking at that. They're comparing who got the greater one. So here, what did they look for? What are the 2 things that we balancing? We balancing the more than city versus more than shares. That's it, because look at it, they say, Randy has 12 more cities. And if you were to look at the shares, how much more shares does Randy have compared to Jackie? He got 4 more. So that's all. That is why they have to equal. Look at here, right here in the solutions. Remember the 2 things you're equal and they must be balanced. Okay? So that is why he is balancing 4 shares with 12 CDs. Is the more than equal to the more than? Everybody understand now how you just find the one share? That's how you just find the one share. By balancing whatever the 2 information that they give you and finding the one share. How do you understand a little clearer now? what you're supposed to be looking for? And I'm gonna be honest with you, once you understand this concept, guys, there's no ratio question that could come and you can't handle it. And it gonna come down to just practicing. Okay? All right. Okay, whew, I think we did a good job. No, same thing here. We were able to find Randy's because once you find one share, which was 3 CDs, you could calculate Randy. Easy. Because Randy had 5, so it's gonna be 5 times 3, which is 15. Okay. All right. Let's move on to rates. Rates is easy. Let me tell you how rates this come. So everybody ready? This is things that when you go shop. If everybody done gone and buy something in the supermarket, you should be able to handle this. First thing first. Unless people got personal butlers and people who just shop for them. If you walk into a grocery store and they got, what did they sell in pairs? What's something that they sell in pairs? What did they sell in pairs, guys? Toilet paper? Did they sell toilet paper in pairs? Okay, let's use toilet paper. They got 2 for $5. 2 for $5. But you want 3. How much for one toilet paper? Ashley said $2.50. Alicia said $2.50. How I get that? Same thing like what we've been learning this whole entire time, which is something I'm going to teach you in another way. If 2 toilet paper is equal to $5, how do we calculate one? We divide by 2 on both sides. So 1 toilet paper is going to equal to $2.50. That is what rates is. Rates is determining the unit price. Unit means 1. Everybody with me? Now, how this information is going to be useful. Let's say they're selling soap powder by ounces in different sizes. So they're going to say 2 ounces cost this amount, 3 ounces cost this amount, 10 ounces cost this amount. What is the better buy? How you going to determine the better buy when all of them got different sizes? You find out how much 1 ounce would cost for all of them. And you're going to know which one is the cheapest one. Everybody see what I'm saying? Talk to me, you know. This is the time for me to, because this is money. Remember, consumer is about money and understanding how to buy, how to make sure you're not being robbed, to make sure that when you're buying something, you're buying it for the best value, for the cheapest price that's possible. And so questions like this come a lot. So look at some examples here. Mangoes are sold at a rate of 5 for $8. So you should know how to find out how much is one. What do? You divide the 8 by 5, so you can find 1. The rate at which a car consumes fuel is 400 kilometers per 30 meters. You could determine how much liters is used in 1 kilometer. The speed of a vehicle is 80 kilometers per hour. So you should know how much distance is traveled in a certain amount of time. And that's what we're going to look at. Questions like this, I'm going to be honest with you. Again, it comes heavy in paper 1. Consumer questions have the most. That's the most questions that has come from one topic. There's put in a lot of consumer questions in paper 1. At least 5 to 6. So let's look at determining rates. People who do physics and sciences, this has come a lot. This has actually come a lot. But let me come back to this. Let me do this quickly and then we just move on to currency. I think currency was the last topic. But before we continue, guys, how are y'all holding up? Are you surviving class today? Are you overwhelmed? Are you fed up of my voice yet? Are you hungry? What's up? What's up? What's up? Y'all okay? Y'all holding on? Your brain tired? Surviving and hungry? I promise you, I really just want us to push to, so we could just be done. Like, I just want us to be done with, sending you hugs. Gwenna sending some hugs for your brain. Trust me, trust me, trust me. It's better for us to push now while we can than us be stressed out. Oh my God, we ain't finished. We got so much to do and exams is 2 weeks from now. Like, I'm not about that life. So I'm going to be pushing a little hard now so that we don't have to coming down to the end. Or at least not so much, okay? So we almost there. We almost there. We almost there. How about I leave this part for y'all? Because the truth is, questions like that don't really come. So I'm gonna come back to this. Let me just deal with foreign exchange because that's a question that has come more often, and then we're gonna come back to that. So everybody, I need you to put in your notebook. You see the section here in your notes. You should be able to read it on your own and figure it out. To be honest, it's the same concept we've been doing all the time, and it has a lot of questions. And if you read it, you're gonna see look at it. Everything about this, look at it again. You had to find 1 liter. When you find 1 liter, then you find how much liters they ask you for. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is literally the same thing we've been doing all along. It's just under different conditions. Okay. So I'm going to leave you guys to read this on your own. Practice the questions on your own because it's the same concept. Okay. I want to do the proportion last because it's something's different. So let's go on to currency. And currency is changing US to Jamaican, US to EC, US to or EC back to Trinidad dollars, like that. So we're gonna look at this, and then this is where we're gonna. Is this the last thing? Overtime is the last thing. Let me see. Because the truth is, if we could finish this 1 page tonight, Monday we could just go through the past paper questions. And then that's how we can end off. How that sound, guys? Is that okay? So we're gonna end off. We're gonna do these 2 topics now. What time it is? We got half an hour. We should be able to bang this out in a half an hour. So let's go through this. Everybody confirm with me. So we got half an hour. We're gonna bang through. We're gonna bang out currency because currency easy and overtime is just one thing I got to teach y'all, and it's pretty straightforward. So y'all up for it? Because the truth is, if you're not, if most people say no, like I'll just stay with the people who want to stay, and then everybody else could watch the video after. Okay, so some people telling me let's do it, let's bang it out. All right, let me bang it out. We got this. Take a deep breath, stretch out your hand. Move your body a little bit, like shake up yourself. Let's go. We got this. Gangster mode, level 49. Trust me, when we do, we're gonna end up having to do like math camp where we're gonna have to do some math drills. I plan to have. So you gotta get yourself in that type of mindset to push yourself as much as you can. All right, let me zoom in here. One thing I like about currency, it's pretty, ain't really much studying you have to do. You just gotta really understand. That's right, bad man, don't tell it. You just really gotta understand the concept of multiplying and dividing. So that's the 2 only things that could happen in this topic. These are the only 2 operations you need to know. The hard part or the challenging part is to remember or to determine, oh God, should I multiply? Should I divide? That's what I'm going to teach you so that you on your own could figure out certain questions. So let's go. I can give you 1 US is equal to 2.70. So my question to you is EC. Look at the digits. You're moving from 1 to 2.7. When you are moving from US to EC, what should you do? Multiply or divide? Everybody, let's go. When you want to change US to EC, what should you do? Should you multiply and divide? Which one? Watch the question and think about it. Guys, you have to multiply. What would indicate us to multiply? We are moving from a smaller, don't look at the quantity value. You have to look at what's going to happen to the actual digits. When you move from 1 to 2.7, isn't that an increase of the digits? What operation would allow us to increase? Multiplication would allow us to increase. So this is something you have to pay attention to. This is how you know, oh me to go from US to EC, I definitely got to multiply. And you would multiply by the unit quantity. What do I mean by the unit quantity? Once you know how much 1 US is, you could calculate any amount to US. Everybody with me? So from US to EC to multiply. So that means from EC to US, look at it. You're moving from a bigger digit to a smaller digit. So what are you going to do? What are we supposed to do? Divide. And obviously you divide them by the unit amount. So if 1 US is 2.70, you know you got to either multiply by 2.0 or divide by 2.70. Everybody with me? That's it. So I'm going to give you a question. I'm going to give you a question here. I'm going to give you a hard question too. Using these same digits, 1 US is 2.7 EC. Ms. V has 20 US. And I spent 15 US out of that money. How much is my change in EC? There we go. Step 1. What do I do? No, you know why everybody failed the question? Guess why everybody failed the question? Y'all, if this question was 3 marks, some of y'all get a half mark. So I'm gonna tell you now, Gwen, you get 1 because you give me 13.5 and you gave me the currency. You tell me EC. Janella, you get a half mark because you have the correct digit, but I don't know how you get 13.50 from. I don't know if it's in US. I don't know if it's in EC. Now, Myrtle, you get a mark because you show me that you multiply, but where that 5 come from? Where did 5 come from? So what would be my step 1? Exactly. Step 1 would be, you have to tell me how much the change is. So you have to say $20 minus 15 because that is going to tell me how much the actual change is. Everybody with me and understand the importance of showing everything? So step 1 should be 20, and it's not just 20, it's going to be $20. Whew. So $20, and $20 what? You have to write the units. You can't just say $20 either, okay? So $20 US minus $15 US is equal to $5 US. Very good. And so my change in EC is equal to learn to write in maths. Learn to communicate in maths. Write down what you're doing. Tell the people them this is what I'm doing and this is why. So your change in EC would be 5 US times 2.70, which is equal to $13.50. Don't forget your dollar signs. ECD. Well, EC, same thing. Everybody with me? So this is, I'm happy that you guys understand what to do, but my point of focus at this moment is getting your full marks as well. Full marks. Full marks. All right. So make sure you copy down this question. Now, conversion could happen as well between hours, could happen in time, where you have to change 24 hours into 12 hours, minutes to hours, hours to seconds, these sorts of things. So I have a question for you. How many hours in a day? Excellent. 24 hours in a day. And we're not taking anything for granted. We need to know these things. So let me move this cross. There we go. So some things, information you need to know. One day has 24 hours. Everybody with me? 1 hour have how much minutes? 60 minutes. 1 minute has how much seconds? 60 seconds. This actually comes under the topic of measurement. I just want to make sure we have it, okay? And next thing I need to know, kilometers. Please copy down these things. And next thing, even with this, let's break down something else. So this is the day to minutes and seconds. But what about 1 year? 1 year has in how much months? 12 months. And just to be careful, how much 1 decade got in? How many years in a decade? 10 years. How many decades in a century? Excellent. 100 years, but 10 decades. Let me see if you catch on. You see that? You see that? Okay, good. So let me go. 1 month has in how much weeks? Estimated to 4 weeks. It's 4 to 5, 4.5 sometimes, but estimated to 4 weeks, okay? Generally, just generally, okay? 1 week has in how much days? So if I give you a certain amount of days, so for example, you need your calculator. So everybody pull out your calculators. I'm going to give y'all a time challenge quiz. Something quick that you're just supposed to plug in your calculator and tell me the answers. So there we go. Let me boost up our energy a little bit. Top 10. When I see, well, we ain't got 10 people. So I'm gonna say top 3. When 3 people give me the answer, time up. So it's all about trying to get yourself. Maybe I should do top 5. Top 3 or 4? I'll do 4. That sounds fair. So I'm gonna give you something and I'm gonna ask you to convert it. Don't panic. All right, let's panic fast, eh? Lord, let's go. Miss V gonna turn on into some gangsters. Let's go. All right, I'm panicking. Stop panicking. Don't panic. I'm gonna leave this just here to help, all right, just in case. Even though I should take it though. So y'all ready? So once the top 4 people, I hope everybody participate, please. It's something a little fun and challenging. Just boost up your energy a little bit. You are going to convert something into something. So I might say, how much hours in 3 days? You should be able to know what you're going to put in your calculator. What should you put in your calculator just for general purposes? If I ask you how much hours in 3 days, what should you put in your calculator? 3 times 24. Excellent. That's what we're talking about, my friends, man. You guys are sharp, man. You guys are ready. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is what I love to see. Excellent. That's my students. That's right. So let me go. Ready. We're going to start off easy like lemon squeezy. And then we're going to go into units, which will be kilometers, meters, all them good stuff. So let's go. Hi. Hold on there, guys, because somebody calling me in minutes. Anyways, then gotta wait. So let's go. Okay, so let's go, guys. Ready? Everybody ready? Just tell me if you're ready. Calculators in your hand, wherever you need in your hand, ready. Okay. How many seconds? We're gonna start off easy. How many seconds would I find in 5 minutes? How many seconds is in 5 minutes? That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5. That's it. Time up. Time up. The answer, my dear people, is 300. But guess what? All I will get it wrong. Nobody tell me 300 seconds. 300 what? Donkeys? 300 stars? 300 moons? There we go again. We're taking it up to our next level. Next level, next level, next level. No, I got to move hard on all you because no crumbs. I just tell my students that we're leaving no crumbs. We're eating up everything for CXC. Now, this one is more complicated, okay? This is a 2-step question. Just tell me the answer with the units. How many minutes will you find in 1 day? How many minutes will you find in 1 day? How many minutes? That's 1 person. Correct. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Time up. How did you guys get that? For you to figure out the minutes from the day, you had to first convert what? You had to do a 2-step process, innit? You had to first say 60 minutes is 1 hour. No, 24 hours, 1 day. Let's go. 1 day having 24 hours, right? And so I have to now change 24 hours to minutes. So it's going to be 24 times 60 equal 1 4. Excellent job, guys. So impressed. Now a next level. Level 3. Take a deep breath. Whew. Ready. Don't panic. Stop panicking. How many minutes is in a week? How many minutes is in a week? What? Jeffrey, fast. But fix that for me, please. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5. Fix it if you think it's wrong. Only 3 people, 4. 1 more. That's it. The answer is 10,080 minutes. Excellent job, guys. How did we get that? How did we get that? 1 week. How much days in 1 week? It's 7 days. And then 7 days by 24. So you got 24 times 7. And the answer you get for that, you got to multiply it by 60. And when you multiply all of that, you get 10,080. How much I give her so far? How much I get? How much people get 3? How much we do so far? We did 3 or 2? Give me a score out of 3. Give me a score out of 3. Be honest. How much you get out of the 3? Very good. These type of skills are also necessary for paper one. You got to move lit. You got to move like a madman, eat up everything. You cannot move one today, one tomorrow, because paper one is about time. Paper one is about time. No, unfortunately, we can't use a calculator. So for today, the focus is the thinking process with the help of your calculators. But eventually, we're going to have to do time challenges where you're not going to use a calculator. So are you capable of doing long multiplication fast? Are you capable of doing long division fast? Do you know all the square numbers out your head so that you could work out a question with square numbers easy? These are things you're going to have to step up to the plate with, especially if you don't know your tables. You see, if you know your tables, you mash up. Paper one gonna mash up. All right. So these two things are some of the things that you got. I'm very impressed by you guys. So everybody pick up yourself, pick up yourself, pick up yourself. All right. So I gotta teach you guys something quickly. This is something a lot of people don't know. How to calculate speed, how to calculate velocity, how to calculate acceleration. Okay. So we're gonna use these examples to just learn it. So we're going to learn by example. So we're just going to read through these questions and understand how they got it worked. Okay. So we have example 27. That's what we're looking at. Jerry and Carrie are, why do people named Jerry and Carrie? This is so upsetting. Anyways, Jerry and Carrie are running a 60-kilometer marathon. Jerry runs 24 kilometers per hour. Carrie at 20 kilometers per hour. How long will it take Jerry to finish the race? Do you know what per means? Anybody know what per means? When you hear the word per, what does it mean? For each. And so if you want to find how much is something for each, what is the operation would you use? Do you know, to find one thing? What is the operation we've been using to find one thing? Division, right? Yeah, remember that? Division. Division is the process here. Okay? And so what I need you to take into consideration is that per hour usually represents how much hours in a day? 24, right? But that doesn't play here. That none of those things play here. What plays here is the information that they gave you. So look at the formula that they use. They gave us, but they didn't even give us the original formula. So let me give y'all the original formula so that we can know how they use what they use. So everybody take down this formula, please. Speed. So let me use the units. The units can always tell you the formula, by the way. So people who do sciences, you would know this already. So if somebody say the units for speed is distance per time. So let me show you. Let me write it down if my thing would allow me to. So I need everybody to focus with me and listen to what I'm trying to explain to you. So I'm just waiting for my thing to ease up. Just waiting for it to ease up. Okay. So this is what they gave us. Distance per time. If you look at the information they give you, what did they give you? 24 kilometers. What is kilometers? Kilometers ain't the distance. Everybody confirm with me if you see it. Kilometers ain't distance. So in this example, we have here kilometers. Laptop, they're saying the time to stick. You realize it wasn't sticking all the time. You see how the devil set up? Give me 1 minute. Let me just wait until this thing stop acting like a madman. So as I was saying, the formula for speed. So speed is equal to distance over time. What is another thing for over? When you say something is over something, what's the operation? What does this slash represent? I just told you 2 minutes ago. What's the operation for this here? It would be distance divided by time. Okay, so another way to write it is distance over time. All three of these things mean the same thing. So that's the first thing I need y'all to take notice of. So speed, how fast somebody going, is them comparing how much distance somebody run within a given time. And that would make sense if you understand speed. How do you measure speed? How fast somebody, how much distance somebody runs on a specific number of time. So for example, somebody would run in a longer distance in 5 minutes than another person. So you time two people the same time, you give two of them the same time, but one person run a longer distance than the other person. That means that person running faster, right or wrong? That person have a higher speed. So that's the first thing I need y'all to note. And so here, that's how the unit says, because look at the units. The unit says kilometers per hour. So what does that mean? The per represents what? In the division. Everybody see what's going on here? Per hour. So the time in this example is the hour, and the distance is the kilometers, and the per represents what? Division. Anytime you see something per something, the first thing is being divided by the second thing. It doesn't matter what. So it could have been meters per second. Who is being divided by who? The meters is being divided by the seconds. Everybody with me so far in understanding what these things mean? Talk to me, guys. Talk to me. Because that's it. Once you know the distance and you know the time, you can calculate the speed because you just divide the distance by the time. And the unit's going to change. In this example, we're using kilometers per hour, but speed could be meters per second. Everybody understand what I'm saying? If we measuring the speed of a roach ain't covering no meter. The speed of a cockroach probably centimeters per millisecond. Everybody check what I'm saying? So once you understand the general basis of the speed unit, which is any distance divided by any given time, that's how you find it. So look at it here. So that's the beginning. But here they need us to find time. So let me write it out. Let's write it out. Let's write it out. Let me write it out. Everybody done copy down this, first of all, because I need to erase it. So these are the three formulas. It's the same formula, but in three different written ways. One using the slash for division, one using the actual division sign, one is using something over the something. And I always want y'all to remember that this line, anytime something is over something, the thing at the top is being divided by the thing at the bottom. Okay, so let's take a look at what they ask us for. Here, they ask us, they gave us the speed and they gave us the distance and they asked you to find the time. Y'all remember when we were doing simple interest, we had to calculate the principal from the basic formula? What do you think you got to do here? Again, the same thing. So let's start off with the basic formula. Speed is equal to distance over time. If I want time as the subject of the formula, I want to teach y'all something, but me know if I should teach y'all like this. So let me teach you now and then show you why. Y'all open. It's gonna be a little confusing for now, but y'all trust me. Let me know if y'all trust me. Let me know if y'all trust me. The shortcut, anytime, right? So I need everybody to focus. Anytime you want to make something the subject and it in the denominator, because for example, if we wanted distance as the subject, to get rid of time, all we needed to do was multiply by time in it. And if we multiply by time, what's gonna happen to time? Time gonna get canceled, right or wrong? Everybody remember that? But in this example, they want to find time. Well, watch where time is. Time is in the denominator. How do we get time out the denominator? There's a shortcut way to do it. Anytime you want to change the thing that's in the denominator and you want to make it the subject, you can switch these two things. And I'm going to prove why this works. So the formula for time is actually going to be time is equal to distance over speed. Everybody see that? Let me prove to you why. So what did I do here? All I did was swap these two things. Let me show you why this is something that can happen in maths. This is the shortcut, but now we're going to show you the long way. So let's start off with the regular formula. Speed is equal to distance over time. So I'm going to show you two ways. Let me just move this over. If this thing would allow me. And honestly, I think this is where we could end class. Y'all, homework is to read upon the overtime easy. I only got to show y'all one thing and you should be able to take it from there. Because everybody in here should have an idea of how you work. How overtime does work. It's pretty straightforward. Why is this thing fighting me? Ah, boy. Okay, I could work with this. All right, so let's go. So I'm going to do it the long way. And then I'm going to show you another way. So, you know, I like to show you more than once. So let's start off with the basic formula. How I want time to be the subject of the formula. Currently, time is in the denominator. May want it there. I want it to be on the left-hand side by itself. So the only thing I can do here is get rid of this divided by time. So how do I do that? I multiply by time. Whatever you do to one side, we do to the other side, right or wrong? Everybody with me so far? So you see, even though we get rid of time from in the denominator on one side, what happens? You ain't realize it's gonna show up on the next side anyways. So check what's gonna happen now. Time gonna cancel on the right-hand side. This has happened a lot in physics. But on the left-hand side, what we're gonna end up with? We're gonna end up with speed times time is equal to distance. Again, who do we want by itself? Y'all remember who we want by itself? Who do we want by itself? Guys, talk to me. Time. Exactly. So now on the left-hand side, who should I get rid of? Now that I got time on the side that I want it, who should I get rid of? How do I get rid of speed? If I'm multiplying by speed here, how do I get rid of it? By doing the opposite. What is the opposite of multiplying by speed? Dividing by speed. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So what's gonna happen here with speed? Speed and speed gonna cancel and time gonna left back. So our formula is time is equal to distance over speed. Then the same thing we got to the top. From the top, make it drop. That's a hey. Y'all seen it? This ain't the same thing. Everybody seen it? Tell me if you see it, please. Let me know if you're seeing it. So you realize it's the same answer without all the drama. So you see why this rule works. So anytime you get something over something and the thing that you want in the denominator, you just switch it and the answer, and that's gonna be the answer. So let's do an example like this. Let's say I have X is equal to Y over P. Make P the subject. What's the answer? Without going through the long way. What's the answer? What's the rule? If the thing that you want is in the denominator, what do? You put this over 1. And what do you do with these two things? Excellent. P is equal to, you just swap it. P is equal to Y over X. P is equal to Y over X. And so, based on what we just did, now that we know the formula for time, we could calculate it because they gave us the distance, they gave us the speed. And in the example they gave us, that's all they did. Divide the distance by the speed and that's it. So all I need you to remember, you use the formulas that you know or that you were given to find the things that you need. Just like when we were doing simple interest, we needed to find the principal, we switch on the formula to find principal. When we needed to find the rate, we switch on the formula to find rate. When we needed to find the time, we switch around the formula to find the time. Everybody understand about the switching around to find what you need? Because that's the most important thing. And do you see how it comes in different topic areas? Like I said before, once you know how to do it in general, you should be able to apply it to all subject areas. Okay? And so, based on what we have here, when you look at your example, you would see that you can calculate time by just plugging in the distance, which was something, divided by the speed, which was another something, and that will give you the time in hours. Okay? So that's it for that part. Again, read the handouts, print them out, look through the examples, make sure you understand why they did what they did. Okay? I made a mistake. Look at here. Distance divided by speed. Same thing like what we just talked about. Look at here. Boom. Same thing here. What they ask you to find next. They ask them to find what? The distance. You do the same thing. You want to find the distance. You rearrange the formula to calculate the distance. So let me do it here quickly. So we know that speed. Please write down these things. Speed is equal to distance over time. So how would I make distance the subject of the formula? I want the distance. So who do I need to get rid of? I need to get rid of time. You multiply by time on both sides. So what you're going to end up with? Distance going to end up over here by itself. So distance is equal to speed times time. Same thing, making distance the subject of the formula. And look at here, distance equal speed times time. They gave you the speed, you calculated the time, and so you were able to find the distance. And that's it. That's it. That's it. Now, this last part here for overtime, there's going to be something. Before we continue, somebody writing on the board. So I think we're going to stop right here. And I'm just going to allow you guys to read the last one because the last one is overtime and it's not hard. Okay, so everybody just check in with me and tell me how you're feeling about transposing different formulas to find what you need. Oh boy, the baby too cute. 8. How y'all feeling? Look at the baby. Hi, pumpkin. Y'all feeling okay? All right. Seeing the baby just lift my spirit in a huge way. Okay, so only 2 things I want to talk to you guys about overtime. The thing about overtime, I think I want to go through this by using examples. So your job is to just read through this on your own and come class prepared to answer questions because it's pretty straightforward. The only thing that you may not like be clear about is this concept that I'm gonna write now. When it comes to overtime and bills. So read bills and think by yourself. So this is the only thing I want to teach y'all quickly, and that's where we're gonna end. Whenever you work overtime, generally people get paid weekly. Weekly means what? Every week, right? Everybody with me? Other people get paid bi-weekly. What does bi-weekly mean? What does bi-weekly mean? What does bi mean? Every 2 weeks. Okay, that's it. No, what you get paid every week is called your wage. Your basic wage. And some people work 40-hour weeks. How do we get 40-hour weeks? That means every day they work 8 hours for 5 days a week. This is just general stuff you just need to know. Okay? So that's how for every week they work 40 hours generally. No, this is just a standard thing. In different questions, a standard week may change. Some people's standard week might be 35 hours or 30 hours. But everybody understand what I mean by the basic week? How much hours you work in a week? Okay. Now, overtime is whenever you surpass the amount of hours you're supposed to work every week. So if I work 42, if I'm supposed to work 40 hours every week and I work 42, how much overtime hours did I work? How much OTs did I work? I worked 2 hours overtime. So that means it should not be difficult for us to determine how much hours we work overtime. No, let's say I work for $5 a week generally and I work 10 hours. How much am I going to get paid? $50. Everybody see how I get $50? It's going to be $5 times the 10 hours that I work. Everybody confirming me, we almost finished. I just want to make sure I touch on these things quickly and then we're going to end class. So the quicker I talk to me, the quicker we bust off. We almost there. We almost there. We almost there. Everybody with me? All right. So this is something I want you to also take note of. When you work overtime, the amount of money gonna be bigger. And there are different rates at which it can be bigger. So you could work for 3 times the amount, which is called triple pay. So I'm gonna start from the biggest one. The biggest one is triple. So triple pay. And what would I do to find a triple pay? What would I do? Would I multiply by what? Multiply by what? Multiply by 3. Excellent. If I get double pay for my overtime hours, what would I multiply it by? By 2. Excellent. If I get time and a half, anybody have an idea of what this would be? Time and a half. 1.5. You see that? That's where the time comes in. It's going to be 1.5. And then you have something called time and a quarter. What would be time and a quarter? Times what? 1.25. Remember, 5 is a quarter. 25 over 100. Remember, 0.4 is 4 out of 10. That's not a quarter. Don't ever get tricked. You see, remember the basics. Remember, 0.25 is what we call a quarter, right? Let me just remind y'all of something. What is a half? Let's do something quickly as a decimal. What is a half as a decimal? Everybody, let's go. What is a half as a decimal? 0.5. What is a quarter? Remember, quarter is half of a half, eh? So that's 0.25. What is a fifth? Let me see if anybody remember. 0.20. Everybody see that? Please copy these things down. You need to memorize these things. These are things you need to know. A half is 0.5. A quarter is 0.25. A fifth is 0.20. You must know this. What is three quarters? If 1/4 is 0.75, what is 3/4? Let me see if anybody thinking. Think about quarters literally. 1/4 is 0.25. How much is 3/4? 75 cents. Yeah. You see that? Remember, 3.25 is 3 wholes and 25 over 100. Okay? So I hope it clarifies a lot. Please note these things. Everybody with me? So these numbers you must know. Anybody say 3.5, you should know is what? What is 3.5 as a decimal? Come, let's go. Quick drill. What is 3.5 as a decimal? Only one person? 2? What is 3.5 as a decimal? 3.5. What is not 3.05, just 3.5? What is 2 3/4? What is 2 3/4? 2.75. Excellent. What is 6 1/4? Excellent. Moving forward, this is the type of thing I expect to see. Everybody with me? Excellent. So let's go back over these here quickly. We know triple is times 3. Double times 2. Time and a half times 1.5. That's what the time represents the whole. Okay? So time and a quarter is 1.25. Everybody got this lock? Let's go talk to me quick. So I'm going to give you a quick example, and then that's where we're going to wrap up class. We're going to do one example of an overtime question, and then we're going to end class right here. So Ms. V works a 40-hour week in general, okay? Another thing I forget to mention to y'all, rate, there's some terms you need to know. Rate is how much you get paid an hour. So the money you get paid per hour. Wage is the money you get paid for the week. Time or hours is how much hours you work in a week. You're going to see these terminologies a lot. Hours you work in a week. All right, so this is just some general knowledge stuff. All right, so let's go back to the question. Ms. V works a 40-hour week at a rate of, let's make it easy, $5. Okay? If she works 1 week, let me change it. 1 week, she worked 45 hours at a overtime rate of time and a half. Let me use double for now. At a rate of double pay. What was her total salary? Copy down this question and let's go. There's a lot of things going on here. How much different types of pay is she gonna get? When you realize total is there, what does that indicate to you? When somebody find the total of something, what does that suggest you got to do at the end? Because that's something you need to also start processing. If somebody say, find her total salary, what does that mean? That doesn't suggest that you have to add some things. You got to add things together. Is either you got to add 2 things or 3 things. Agree or disagree? It means that you got to find 2 separate things or 3 separate things and add them together. So that's the first thing you should start to think. Oh, I got to calculate different things. And then at the end, I got to add it all together. So before you go start doing anything, if that's what you're supposed to be working towards, finding the things you need to find and adding them. What is the 2 things you need to find her total salary? If you work in a job and you work overtime, you need to get your regular salary. Agree or disagree? How much hours did she work for her regular salary? $40 hours. But I ended up doing what? An extra what? An extra what? 5 hours. So that means that it's 2 things I need to find for my total salary. So my total salary would equal to what? My regular salary. And how much hours is that? The 40 hours plus my overtime salary, which is what? How much hours is my overtime salary? 5 hours. Everybody agree with that? Let me know if you're with me so far. So let's break it down. How much will I work? How much is my regular pay? Read the information again. My regular pay rate for every hour is how much? $5. So that means my regular pay is going to be the 40 hours times the regular $5 that I just normally work for all the time. Everybody see that? Plus my overtime. How much hours did I work overtime? 5 hours. But what is my overtime pay? What does suggest my overtime pay? Exactly. So what would I do with the $5? I would multiply the $5 by what? By 2. And this is what I want y'all to realize. If it was time and a half, instead of 2, what would you have multiplied it by? 1.5. Everybody see that? If it was triple, what would you have multiplied it by instead? Times 3. If it was time and a quarter, what would you be multiplying by instead? 1.25. Everybody see that? Talk to me quick. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So overtime pay is different from regular pay. Regular pay was just times 5. But overtime pay is double. So I had to multiply 5 by 2. If overtime was triple, I would have multiplied by 3 instead. If overtime was time and a half, I would have multiplied by 1.5. But in this specific case, my overtime is by 2. So my regular pay is going to be what? $200 plus my overtime pay. Instead of multiplying by $5, how much I have to multiply by? Exactly. This is the most important part. You see this part here? Calculating your overtime pay. This is the most important part here. This is your overtime rate. And so what would be my total salary? Again, we got $200 for regular pay, but then my overtime pay is going to be what? $50. So my total salary is going to be $250. This is a basic overtime question, and that's it. Again, questions could come indirectly, left, right? But once you understand this basic concept, we can maneuver through any question accordingly. Everybody with me? Talk to me, talk to me. I know we pushed a little hard today. We did. We pushed really hard today. And we are done. Oh, bye. Oh, bye. But we are done. We are done. We are done. We are done. So listen to my instructions very carefully. Monday, I'm not teaching. Monday, we are going through that paper, test paper I sent y'all today with the 100 multiple choice question. I'm not going to expect y'all to do all 100, but can you come to class with at least up to 50? If you come to class with up to 50, we could be able to run through the questions quicker. Everybody see what I mean? Because then I could focus on the questions that everybody get wrong. But let's say there's questions that everybody get right, we just pass them on quickly. Is that a fair agreement? Can everybody agree to doing that for me? At least trying to get the top 50. Even if you get 25, I'll take it. But try to do at least up to 50 so that when we come on Monday, we run through the questions. And guess what? Once we answer them questions, we should be able to answer any question number 2 from any past paper. Okay. All right. So I think today was extremely productive. We did a lot. We did a lot. So I just want to end class by saying I'm really proud of you for especially those people who are coming consistently. It's going to pay off. I promise you, because I can't help you. You can't learn outside of class. And for those who are watching the recording, I'm also proud of you. Keep pushing. It's better for you to work hard and pass maths and be done with it forever than to give it half-ass effort and then you get a mark that you don't want and have to repeat it. Okay. All right. So that's it for today, guys. I will see you guys on Monday. Have a beautiful break. Also, I'm gonna message y'all for y'all address. I think I'm gonna make the deliveries between Tuesday and Wednesday. I am making the cookies. So some people might get cookies, some people might get cupcakes. I can't promise which one you will get, but you would get something definitely. Okay. So that's it for today's class. Have a great evening. Bye. See you guys.